Okay, we're going to go through an example that shows the use of a job cost system for a service business. Okay, the setup we have is that we are looking for a law firm here, the law firm of Ferlin and Benson. They accumulate costs associated with individual cases. So everything will be accumulated by the case. You have one work in process account for that case, one for every case. Let's see here. We have the following transactions. The very first one right here, it says we charged 175 hours of professional time at a rate of $150 an hour to the Obsidian Company breach of contract suit to prepare for the trial. Okay, so we need an entry on July 3rd. Let's go ahead and put our date in there. That's the easy part. Okay, we are charging this amount to the case. Okay, so we have to use the work in process account. And I abbreviate work in process, WIP. So anytime you see WIP here, know that it just stands for work in process. How much are we going to charge? Well, it said 175 hours, and each hour is charged at $150. So let's just do the math. 175 times 150. We have $26,250 being charged to that case. Now, what is going to be our credit? Well, we have somebody that's worked on this. This is a salaries payable situation. So let's credit salaries payable for the same amount. Okay, we took care of that. On the 10th, let's go to the 10th. Okay, it says we reimbursed. Sorry, let me make that a little wider. Here we go. We reimbursed travel costs to employees for depositions related to the Obsidian case in the amount of $12,500. This is a cost, again, that belongs to that case. So where are we going to put this cost? Work in process. Okay, and that is $12,500, just like they told us. What are we going to have as our credit here? It says we reimburse them. That means we're out the cash. Okay, so let's credit cash. And we'll put 12.5 there. Okay. So far, so good. On the 14th, 7/14, it says we charged 260 hours of professional time to the case at a rate of $185. So you've got the exact same setup here with work in process and salaries. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste that into there since I'm on Excel. The amount is different though. This is going to be 260 hours times the rate of $185. This is $48,100 we are charging to that case. Okay. Next, let's go to the 18th. Okay, and it says we received an invoice from consultants Wadsley and Harden for $30,000 for expert testimony related to this case. Okay, so we paid somebody else on the outside for expert testimony. This is still a charge to that case, so we are still going to debit work in process. And they said it's $30,000. Okay. What are we going to credit? It says that we received the invoice, okay, but it does not say that we paid it. So this is going to leave us with some kind of payable. I think in this case we're going to use an account called consultant fees payable. And we'll credit that $30,000. Okay, so we got the 18th done. Let's go down to the 27th. Okay, we applied office overhead at a rate of $62 per professional hour charged to the case. We're applying overhead. Okay, so we're going to debit work in process because we're going to put this overhead amount into it, and we will credit our office overhead. Whenever you're looking at an overhead account, overhead is always going to be credited when it's applied, and actual amounts will be debits into this overhead account. Okay, but now let's figure out what this amount is. It says it's 62 hours per professional hour. Well, how many hours have we charged to this case? We have 175 here and 260 here. So we're going to let Excel do the math for us and add those up. We have 175 plus 260. That's the number of hours. We're going to multiply those number of hours times the rate. It's an overhead rate of $62 an hour. So that should be $26,970. Okay. And that is done. Let's move on to the 31st. We have 4 transactions on the 31st. Let's cover the first one first. Okay. It says we paid our administrative and support salaries of $28,500 for the month. Okay, this is administrative and support salaries. In our service business, this is all going to go into overhead. This is an actual overhead cost. So let's debit office overhead. And it says we paid them. So there's not a payable here. We are actually out the cash in this case. And what was the amount? $28,500. Okay. Now let's move to the second one on the 31st. And it says we use office supplies for the month of $4,000. Okay. So we are going to take those office supplies. These are actual amounts that are charged to office overhead again. Okay, and it's $4,000. And what did we use up? We used up supplies. Okay. So we took them out of supplies, put them into office overhead. Notice it is not a supplies expense, okay, because we are putting all this into the overhead in this job order system. Let's see, that's first one, second one. Now we're on the third one right here, paid professional salaries of $74,350 for the period. Okay, it says this is actually paying them. We're going to assume that this was already set up as a salaries payable, and we're paying it off with the cash. So we're going to debit salaries payable. And the amount they told us right there, $74,350. Okay, and we're out the cash to do so. Okay. Moving on to the next one here on the 31st. Let's see, it says we billed the Obsidian case, or people for Obsidian, whatever, this amount for successful defense of the case. So let's go ahead and date this, 7/31. Okay, we're going to bill them. Doesn't mean we got the cash. It means they owe it to it. So it's accounts receivable. Okay, and that is $172,500. And we're going to recognize fees earned, not FES, fees. Okay, now it does not tell you this directly here, but you have to understand that when we bill this amount, we also are going to immediately transfer out the work in process for this account and put it into cost of services. So we have to have 2 transactions for this right here. Okay, only one thing being told to us, but there are 2 transactions. The first one recognizes the sale amount. The second one transfers work in process into cost of services. Cost of services is our debit, and the work in process is our credit. Okay, now we just got to figure out the amount. All we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to add up all the debits. So it's equal to this amount plus this amount plus this amount plus this amount plus this amount, and I think we got all of them. So in total it's $143,820. Okay, and that is all of the transactions. So we did number 1, provide the journal entries for each of these transactions. Now the next question, how much office overhead is over or under applied? Okay, so we've got to figure out how much is applied, and we know that right now. We already know that the hold on. Okay, we know the amount applied and the amount incurred based on these transactions right in here. I've made a little T account for us to look at this, so it'll hopefully make a little bit more sense. Let's just go ahead and label this office overhead. Okay, and we said actual amounts will end up being debited here, and the applied amounts will end up being credits. So let's look at what we have right here. Here is an actual amount in office overhead. This is $28,500. And let's see, we have $4,000. That's an actual amount. Okay, and then how much was applied? Let's see, where's our credit? Right here. Office overhead is being applied in the amount of $26,970. Okay, so let's get a balance on this account right here. Let me put a little, it looks like the debit side is higher. Notice those two are going to end up being higher. So let me put an underscore right there. The balance in this account is going to equal, this plus this minus that. Okay, so we have a difference of $55.30. Is it over applied or is it under applied? Okay, our actual cost came up to a higher number than what was applied, so we did not apply enough. A debit balance in this account implies that it is under applied. If we had had a credit balance, it would be over applied. Okay, so that's what you're going to do with all that. Back over here, how much office overhead is over or under applied? Our answer is $55.30 is the amount, and it is under applied. Let me go ahead and put some kind of highlight on that. Keep track of it. Okay, that's the answer for number 2. Determine the gross profit on the Obsidian case, assuming that over or under applied office overhead is closed monthly to cost of services. Okay, that's our next one. In our service company, gross profit is going to be calculated by taking fees earned and subtracting cost of services. Okay, so let me just put some little things over here. We got fees earned, and let's put cost of services here, and that will give us gross profit. Okay, make this column slightly wider. Okay, fees earned. We know fees earned, it's right here. Okay, this is the $172.5. Now, cost of services, we cannot just take this number right here because we have to also take into account that this under applied amount is going to be closed into it. That's what they're saying over here, assuming that over or under applied office overhead is closed monthly to cost of services. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this cost of services as our starting point, okay? But we have to add the amount of the under applied overhead, okay? Because in reality, okay, it would have been $149,350. Okay, let me put my commas in here. I like commas. Okay, so fees earned are $172.5. The cost of services, now that we've taken care of the under applied overhead, is $149,350. Let's go ahead and get our number that we want. Gross profit should be fees earned minus cost of services. Okay, gross profit is $23,150. And I think we've answered all of our questions appropriately. Hopefully that helps. Have a good day.